Driving through December. Snow, survival, and the quiet case for financial freedom. December 2025 arrived without asking permission. It came the way real winters do in harsh places. Suddenly, heavily, and without concern for schedules, obligations, or optimism. Snow fell in thick, relentless sheets, the kind that turns familiar streets into vague suggestions and transforms every ordinary errand into a small test of endurance. On most mornings, my day began before sunrise. The alarm went off while the world outside was still dark and muffled, wrapped in snow so deep it absorbed sound. I'd pull back the curtain and see the same thing every time. A white wall where the street used to be. Headlights already crawling along like tired insects, their beams blurred into halos by falling snow. Driving to work in that kind of weather forces your attention inward. The windshield becomes your entire universe. Wipers scrape rhythmically, never quite fast enough to keep up. Snow builds at the edges of your vision, narrowing the road to a tunnel. Lane markings disappear. Traffic lights glow faintly through the storm, more suggestion than command. Every car moves cautiously, separated not by distance, but by mutual understanding. No one wants to rush. Everyone wants to get there safely. And yet, everyone still has to go. The commute as a reminder. Work didn't stop for winter. Bills didn't pause. The calendar didn't care that the roads were nearly invisible, or that the snowbanks had risen taller than some parked cars. The expectation was the same as always. Show up. As I crawled forward at 20 kilometers an hour, knuckles tight on the steering wheel, I felt the familiar tension between responsibility and vulnerability. One sudden stop. One unseen pedestrian crossing too quickly. One patch of ice under fresh snow. The margin for error felt thin. Pedestrians emerged from the storm like silhouettes, undled and hunched, faces hidden behind scarves. They moved cautiously too, trusting that drivers could see them, even when the snow said otherwise. Every crosswalk became a moment of shared uncertainty. It was during those drives, white-knuckled, silent, slow, that I started thinking differently about time and money. Not in a dramatic, overnight revelation way, more like a steady accumulation of small thoughts, the way snow piles up quietly until it changes the entire landscape. Grocery runs in a frozen world. Work wasn't the only reason to brave the roads. Life still needed to be maintained. Groceries didn't restock themselves. The grocery store parking lot was its own challenge. Half-buried cars, uneven ice under fresh snow, carts frozen into place. Inside, the store buzzed with low-level urgency. Shelves were thinner than usual. People moved deliberately, choosing carefully, as if winter had taught everyone to respect limits. Standing in line, I noticed how similar the conversations were. Weather, traffic, the cost of food, heating bills. Someone joked about how expensive winter had become, and everyone laughed, but not lightly. Carrying bags back through the storm, fingers numb despite gloves, I thought about how much effort went into simply maintaining normal life. Work to earn money, money to buy food, food to sustain energy, energy to keep working. It wasn't misery. It wasn't despair. It was just heavy. Winter as a teacher. Brutal winters strip things down. They remove convenience and replace it with effort. Every task takes longer. Every mistake costs more. You start planning more carefully, conserving energy, thinking ahead. And slowly, almost without realizing it, you begin applying that mindset beyond weather. If winter could make daily life harder so quickly, what else could? Illness, job loss, unexpected expenses, time. The idea of financial freedom stopped feeling abstract during those weeks. It wasn't about luxury or excess. It was about options, flexibility, the ability to say, "Today is too dangerous. I can stay home." Or, "I don't need to rush through this storm because my survival doesn't depend on clocking in." Driving through blinding snowfall to meet an obligation made one thing clear: dependence is fragile. The quiet math of security, financial security, I realized, isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It's quiet and invisible, like well-insulated walls during a storm. It looks like savings that can absorb shocks. It looks like investments growing slowly, patiently. It looks like choices that favor long-term stability over short-term comfort. Early retirement, too, took on a different meaning. Not an escape from work entirely, but an escape from forced work. The ability to choose meaningful effort over mandatory survival. As traffic crawled forward each morning, I started running numbers in my head. Not obsessively, but intentionally. How much did I really need? What could I reduce? What could I build steadily, even during difficult seasons? Winter didn't demand ambition. It demanded preparedness. Living life anyway, despite everything, life continued. There were moments of beauty. Snow glowing under streetlights, the deep quiet after a storm, the way breath crystallized in the air. There was satisfaction in making it home safely, in warm meals, in small routines that provided structure. Those moments mattered. They reminded me that the goal wasn't to eliminate struggle entirely, but to reduce unnecessary strain. Driving less someday, working because I want to, not because I must. Buying groceries without calculating anxiety. Living with a margin of safety wide enough to handle storms, literal and otherwise. Looking ahead, December 2025 passed eventually. The snow melted, roads cleared, windshields became transparent again. But the lessons stayed. Every time winter made life harder, it clarified what mattered. Stability, resilience, choice, financial freedom not as a dream, but as a practical response to uncertainty. We don't build wealth just to accumulate numbers. We build it so that when visibility drops, on the road or in life, we're not forced to keep driving blindly forward. Sometimes, the most important realizations arrive quietly. During a slow commute, in falling snow, when the world narrows and priorities sharpen. And sometimes, winter teaches us exactly why security is worth the effort.